Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race RuCap here on reality TV RHAPups. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and today we are going to be discussing episode 1 and 2, the premiere of RuPaul's Drag Race season 15. It is here. We got a talent show, we got Ariana Grande, and another very special cameo to discuss. But first, let me bring in our panel who's going to be helping me break everything down. First, you heard her thoughts on these queens. Let's see what she thinks now. It is Beth Dixon. Beth, how are you?
I'm bored. I think it's time to spice things up. No, I'm so excited to talk about this episode. I had a lot of queens who surprised me. I had some queens that did exactly what I expected and some queens that didn't do what I expected. And there's a lot to get into. I'm really excited.
Yes. Okay, great. And this podcast, we are bringing you a very special guest. It is the one, the only Brian Scally. Scaly, how are you?
Oh, hello. Did you guys recognize me from Twitter? I'm so excited to be here. Have listened to Ru. I did come fully padded. So very excited to break down this season.
Yes, we had to listen. You know, there's a big drama, the IRL queens versus the internet queens. So we brought you our very own internet queen, Brian Scally, here. Just outstanding on Twitter and on the internet. Hopefully we'll get to hear his takes in person. Oh my gosh. Yeah, virtually in person. Yes, again, virtually. Okay, let's just get started on this. First, Scally, give us your thoughts going into the season and what you thought overall of the premiere.
So I was like, you know what? I am excited to have Drag Race back as if it has ever left my life. I've been watching probably 2 to 3 episodes a week for the last 3 years. But Drag Race US is back. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to go like too hard on the preseason, but I'll like listen to your guys' podcast. I'll look at like some brief bios. And I like felt pretty good. And then watching this actual premiere, I was like, I think I'm in love with 12 of them. So yeah. I was very excited about this season already.
Scally, I must ask, did our preview help you at all going into the premiere here? Were you like, those two queens don't know what they're talking about?
And remember, you're legally obligated to say yes.
Yeah.
No, I did feel very informed. I was very excited. It was a good first step in learning everyone's names. But so I felt like maybe would have been a little more lost had I not listened ahead of time and followed along with pictures. So yeah, I felt very well informed.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that obligated positive answer.
Thank you.
All right, Beth, what about you? You said that your opinions maybe changed, maybe stayed the same. General thoughts?
I'm going to say, I think we all are Team Sasha. We know that, right? Anitra, baby. And the twins were so good. And Mistress, there's so many queens that just like, I knew in our premiere when we were talking like that, we were like, okay, there's going to be some personalities this season, but there are some personalities this season. I'm so excited. This is like really making me feel like, I hate to say it this phrase, but like old school Drag Race, where there was queens who weren't afraid to just say it how it is and not think about social media and all those different kinds of things and just be the drag queens that you are in the dressing room before a show. And I'm excited to see that translate. And like you said earlier, Liana, like seeing this, like, okay, these are, the twins being the TikTok celebrities. And I even said, they're the stunt casting of the season. I'll tell you, that stunt casting, that is working for me right now. This is great. I'm really excited to, just chat about not only the looks and the drag of it all, but also like, what do these personalities mean for like casting moving forward?
Mm-hmm. And Ru's obsessed with the twins, like just based on the guffawing during the talent show. And I was like, is it really that funny? But okay, we're living for this. Also, just as a quick programming note before we get into more details on the premiere, Aman is not gone, guys. Like we got some tweets about this. He's not gone. He's just taking a short break. Okay, so don't worry about it. He'll be back. Okay, chill. Anyway,
yes, thank you.
Okay, So here are my general thoughts. So I totally agree with Scally. I think that I was a little bit on the underwhelmed side, especially now having seen the queens on the show after watching the Meet the Queens videos. I think there are so many personalities that really popped that felt so much less canned than what we saw in the videos, because the videos felt a little bit robotic. I'm writing this hilarious line, and then now to actually see them in the flesh, to see them interact with other queens, it was just like, oh, I'm getting warm fuzzies. This is fantastic. I can't wait to see what these personalities have to offer, because at the end of the day, RuPaul's Drag Race, like pretty much every other reality show, is totally based on the personalities of the cast. And as long as they're casting interesting people, I'm in and I want to watch, no matter what ridiculous challenges you're going to throw at them. So having both the 2 hours and 15 minutes with weirdly limited commercials. Did everybody get that? Did everybody get like no commercials?
No commercial. If that's how they do it, that fine. I'm fine with this.
Like, we'll discuss the WeHo show. Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, though, there was one moment where I was like, I really have to pee. Can we do a commercial, please?
I gotta get on my phone quickly.
Never in my life did I think I would actually want a commercial during a show. I was like, this is too fast.
There should have been a trigger warning in the beginning. Trigger, if you need to urinate,
go now.
Go now,
Get
because there won't be commercials.
Now, there is no time for popcorn during the show. Anyway, so overall, again, really super fun. The split premiere format, Scally, I think was interesting, because this is something that we've never seen before. Typically with the split premiere format, it's like completely split, whereas this was, we got the 8 queens introduced, and then we got them meeting out of drag, which was a little questionable, but we've never seen this before.
Yeah, it was weird. I kind of was like, was this necessary? I think it was probably interesting to do like 2 different photo shoots. I didn't really need 16 like people in a montage doing the same exact thing. But being that they also like substituted the cannon for a motorcycle, I was like, oh, this is like definitely a little more basic at the same time. So could have gone like a little more outside the box, maybe bring back like the season 15 like dunk tank, season 5. But I don't know. I think that we could have maybe done without, but I wasn't mad at it at the same time.
Yeah. I really like the idea that the first, I would have also liked the dunk tank. That's what I was thinking, is that, okay, they're going to get them both wet, like both groups wet, but like one group has to be fully submerged and do that. I think that's the best photo shoot they've ever done. It was so campy and ridiculous, but there was also some incredible like fashion moments from that, and posing, when you look at like what Detox was able to put together and everything for season 5. So I thought that this mixture of queens who are like, clearly there's some really campy old school pageantry kind of queens, and then you have like the TikTok Instagram queens. I really think that doing the dunk tank would have been a really good move.
Yeah, and then Spice could have pulled out her swimming cap and she would have been fine.
Yeah, it
would have been appropriate.
I mean, the shower cap fit if they had done, like, if she had done the first one, right? It's like, we're getting wet. Yeah, just put on your shower cap.
Why they put her in the second group specifically.
They were like, you have what? Okay, RuPaul, we have to change around these groups. We were gonna have the second group get wet, but got to change this.
No. The other okay, Beth, to go back to your thought of the pageant queens versus internet queens versus Connecticut season that we're having, which seems to be like the Survivor version of Drag Race.
Yeah, it's the new beauty brawn.
Exactly. Yes, we're going back to the 30s of Survivor. I think that, we're starting to see elements of that storyline. I have to imagine that that's going to play out throughout the season. So I'm very curious to see sort of if we are able to move past that. I'm expecting it to be campy, where it's like, oh, and we're all drag queens and we all come together in the end, except for maybe the Connecticut queens. I don't know. This is a rough episode for 2 Connecticut's in the bottom 3.
Yeah.
But anyway, the other thing that came with the split premiere with the way that they did it is half the group got Ariana Grande. And then, well, obviously we had the Ornacia of it all. Over, under, I don't know how this works. Do you think Ariana Grande knows the reference? What do we think? Do we feel like she's a genuine fan, or do we feel like it's a little bit put on? Because I've seen this go both ways.
I think she knows.
Like, even if she's a fan, it's very hard to remember 14 seasons worth of references, plus All Stars, plus like whatever. So, maybe, but I would not be surprised.
It's Ornacia. She was a judge the season after Ornacia, so
Yeah.
I feel like she probably knows the ref. Also, Frankie Grande's her brother. I'm sorry.
And
he's probably just full of references, yelling them at her, and she's just like, okay.
Okay, but when we also have like BB, who is like, who is Ornacia? So I think that
BB, like Trixie said, BB won Drag Race and then never watched it again. Like she didn't have to.
She had already won. It was
she already won.
But yeah, it was funny. I actually gagged maybe a little bit more for actual Vivacious. Vivacious came in because I was confused. I was like, oh, are they gonna do maybe like T.S. Madison or someone, you know, or is it just Ariana Grande like super padded? I didn't know.
Oh, when she walked in, I was like, them thighs are not Ariana Grande. I was like, is that pink? She's got good thighs.
I mean, Ru's all about the padding, so who knows? Maybe it transfers also over to the guest judges. But I did feel a little bit, I don't know if I felt bad for the second batch of queens, but it did feel like they were a little bit of an afterthought. I mean, that usually happens with the split premiere. Maybe I felt it a little bit more so in this episode, but I think that having them all interact together is something that I always really enjoy. Again, I don't know if them meeting out of drag felt a little like pearl clutchy for me of like, oh my God, that's so rude.
Yeah, I know. Only one person, I think it was Lucy, had a LaDuca sweatshirt on, and I was like, I don't know if that's her own merch or if that's like actually like the brand LaDuca, but regardless, I was like, okay, at least somebody's within their drag character. Also, the first group not only got to meet Ariana Grande, they also got to meet Sasha Colby. So like they really got all the good stuff in that first group.
Well, eventually they all got to meet her, so it's fine.
I know, but they got to meet her in drag, in her intro outfit. But also, apparently, this is from one of the interviews that Sasha did. Apparently, the first group was so gagged with her that the production literally had to stop and they had to go, this looks like a Sasha Colby meet and greet right now. Like, we need you to like all gather around the table equally, because they were all like on one side and she was like on the other, and they were all just kind of like, oh my God, it's Sasha Colby. So that's from Sasha's mouth, but I'm assuming it's correct.
I believe it.
I believe it.
Okay, what else do we want to jump into? I mean, I guess we could just talk about the talent show and then we can go back and cover other things that we're interested in. Because for me, I think I love the idea of doing the talent show. I've talked about this. It gives the queens an opportunity to just do what they want to do from the get-go. As per usual, we did see a lot of lip syncing. I do think there were some, though, to me that stood out over others. I mean, obviously, the top three, I think, were correct. And I was very happy to be able to see, because did Jax lip sync or was it just the stunts? I think it was lip syncing too, right?
Lip syncing, yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
So, like, I mean, really, 2 of the top 3 were lip syncs, but it's like, how do you take it to the next level in order to stand out? So I personally, Beth, was really happy with the top 3.
Yeah, me too. I was thoroughly entertained by the top 3, and then my next couple, which would have, I don't think deserved to be in the top 3, but like I personally liked. I don't know why I loved Spices. Like, just the I'm bored. I've been saying that nonstop for this whole weekend. And I really loved Poppy's. I loved like the little like tumor puppet ventriloquist moment. And because that's the kind of thing that I'm such a weirdo that when I go see drag, like that's the kind of thing I'm throwing dollars at the stage with. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I love this. Like, so for me, those were like the most entertaining. But there wasn't really much besides lip syncing than what the top 3 was able to offer, right? You know, Lucy tries to sing in front of Ariana Grande, which is a choice. But other than that, I feel like everything else was kind of just lip syncing.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that usually I'll go into this, I'm like, all right, if you lip sync, like I'm docking points at this point. So that's kind of hard to do when 13 out of 16 lip sync as their talent. So that makes it a little tougher. But in general, like it just has to have something on top of it. And I think that's what they pointed out with both Jax and Anitra. Like there's another level to it. I almost feel like we should get to the point of like, okay, this is your original song challenge, and then here's also the talent show. And these are separate. Make sure they are separate things.
Yeah, it's so tough to, especially when you have 16 queens, to like really stand out and really make an impact. And I think part of it is like, look, do you just play for safe? Do you just do something that you feel confident in? You can get your song out there if that's what you want to promo, because part of drag, losing is the new winning, right? We've talked about this, where you are trying to set yourself up also to do things outside of Drag Race. So just being able to sort of like capture what you do is also, I think, a valid strategy. But for some of the queens, like I would say Malaysia, I would say Robin Fierce, like queens that were fine, but I don't remember them if I didn't take notes.
I will say the one queen that I think was trying to not just do a lip sync and was just trying to show off dance moves was Aura. But I don't think she achieved that, because I left thinking, is that dance? Or is that just stomping around and doing this with your arms? Because I do that in the shower every day.
Be careful, you might slip. Don't stomp too hard.
Actually, that's a really funny thought, that like Beth was trying to pull an Aura and she fell in the bathtub, and that's why she has a broken arm now.
Oh, she
That she dropped in the tub.
She did, literally. Yeah. Well, the Aura one, I mean, as soon as Blackpink started playing, I was like, yay, Blackpink. Oh, okay. It's fine.
Yeah. I felt bad because I also think that Aura didn't do herself any favors, because she wore all black for all three of her outfits. So to me, they just blended together, even though they were very different styles. And I think that she just did herself a disservice. And if you're going to claim to do hip hop, don't do like only the basics of hip hop with like marching band choreography. Like that was like, I did high steps playing the clarinet in the summer,
not
in a
marching
parade.
Band choreo. It's giving marching band choreo.
It was. And I felt bad because I was like, clearly she has knowledge of something.
Yeah.
She's not executing it.
I think like it was good, it was fine, but also could someone have taken like 3 or 4 classes and learned the same routine? Maybe. And like that's probably not what we want to see.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to go through some of actually, let's talk about the opening pageant choreo. I thought that was really good. That looked like something that was professionally done. I mean, these are professionals, right? But to put 16 queens and get them all in a very short period of time looking this good, I was super impressed. Especially, I mean, the actual like moves themselves weren't necessarily complicated, but the way that they were all interleaved with one another and the way that they interacted definitely gave me like Miss America pageant vibes.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I really liked it.
As soon as it was like, oh, we have 16 queens, it's like we are much more limited in what we can actually do. And so it's like walk forward, walk back, walk left. Like, but they walked in those directions extremely coordinated. So
like they had a compass stowed in their uniform, going north, south, east, west, all over the map. Yes.
Those pageant queens were in their element. They were like, I can do this. And then arms out forward, arms in the air, one hand under the hip. Like, I've got this.
Oh my God. I want to go through the queens and we can just give a few thoughts if we haven't discussed them already. So let's just go in order. I want to start with Malaysia. Again, her own song. To me, a bit boring, but it was like fine to start the show. I was like, okay. And also we hadn't seen anything up to that point. So I was like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I had liked Malaysia's personality at this point. Someone that I'm really excited about watching. I was interested that her voice was like 3 times more raspy on the track than it was in real life, but I was enjoying it nonetheless. Like it was perfectly fine. More so, I was like, all right, I've been impressed with the outfits for Malaysia.
Yeah. I love what she was doing for both her entrance look and for the runway, with bringing in this like, the fox stole and, this like high camp, but also kind of glamorous drag. And I'm really excited to see that aesthetic done really well on the show, because I really feel like it's been a while since we've had that. She was somebody that I really had to remember what she did, to the point where I had to go back and watch the episode again this morning to be like, what did she do for the drag show? Oh, yeah. Okay. For the talent show, she did an original track that was, like you said, Scally, was very raspy, but was also like really deep. I was like, she had a cold. There's no way she didn't have a cold when she was recording this. But yeah, I just felt like, unfortunately, she just didn't do herself any favors by standing out for the talent show.
Spice was up next, and both Sugar and Spice had their own song. Okay, this is my like big question for her. Did she bring her own casket from home, or do you think that they had a casket, or where did they get a casket? Because caskets are expensive.
Where
did it come from?
Didn't they have the casket for Lady Bunny? Is it the same
for the
casket?
Roast, the funeral roast thing.
So I wonder if they
Spray
just
paint.
had a casket and they spray painted it or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's just
I can
because
see
I
it.
would love the like. Okay, these are the things that I need, because I'm sure all the queens like, yeah, okay, I need a throne, I need this, I need a casket.
But that's the thing. Like I kind of wonder. It's kind of like. So I work at a university, and sometimes if you need another piece of furniture, you get to go to the magical land of facilities and see what they have in the storehouse to see. Like, I kind of wish, I kind of like to imagine that's what they did, where they were like, all right, ladies, this is the warehouse. Pick what you need for your numbers. And then like they kind of like do as if it's like a design challenge where they have to grab something first and claim it or something. But I like the idea that it's in a warehouse.
That's what we could have seen in the second episode of Untucked.
Oh, God.
Like,
The second hour.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was so tired by the time that came out. I was like,
Same.
didn't this just end? Why am I watching more?
yeah.
I know. Well, because I was like, okay, I thought I remember looking at there were two episodes of Untucked, and then the episode of Untucked aired, and then we watched the lip sync, and then it was over, and then I was like, okay, so it's over, and then it was not.
It was not.
It was not over. It's never
Missed
over.
the first like minute and a half of the episode the first time I watched, and so I was like, oh, this is an interesting way to open the episode, and I was like, okay, it's still going, it's still going, it's still going, it's still going. Okay.
Oof.
Well, okay, let's go back to the interesting part of Friday night. Lux also lip sync performance. This though was the first one I was like, okay, like this is big energy. I think there was a lot of praise, at least from, I think Anetra gets a confessional, huh?
From Lux herself.
From Lux herself being, someone's going home, it's not me.
I know. I think that was a bold statement because listen, y'all know that Lux, I'm like already in love with her. But my God, I was like, honey, you just performed like you were in a club. Like there wasn't anything that innately stood out for me. Like it was a beautiful bodysuit and she looked gorgeous and she had good moves, but it wasn't anything that was over the top or a play on the idea of lip syncing that like other queens were able to build off of.
Yeah. It was fine. It was good. Like I was like,
fine.
I would have enjoyed this in a club for sure.
Yeah.
But I wasn't gonna crown this by any means.
Okay, but look at this though. This confessional look, Lux could have done anything in the talent show, and I was already a fan. We get this in her runway look also. She loves a good statement hat. She had this hat in pink, and then she had one in black in the workroom too. So I'm looking forward to more hats from Lux.
I
There's
love that
something about that.
she like just lives her fantasy, and I'm here for that. The queens that innately are either really good in this drag competition are the queens that just like so feel their oats, or at least the queens that you're gonna remember, like the Gia Guns of them all. Like you're gonna remember her and just let me feel my oats, you know. And it's like the same kind of energy, but I think that she might be able to back it up with a little bit more than
I mean, it's authenticity. Be authentic, right? I think that's why probably I didn't connect to a lot of the videos when we saw the Meet the Queens, is because it just felt so canned and it didn't feel like necessarily authentic. And so having that come through a little bit more in the actual episode was very refreshing to see.
Yeah.
Well, Mistress Isabella Baroques also lip syncs her own song, but she gets the RuPaul candy bar plug in there, which is so smart. Very strategic. Just Ru knows how to plug. Just do it. Being like, look, I'll plug your shit for you, and you don't even have to tell me.
I did like this one. Like out of the lip syncs, I thought this one was funny. It was different. I enjoyed this one more. So at this point in the show, I was like, all right, if we're gonna get 16 lip syncs, I could see this one being towards the top.
I mean, if there's one thing that's going to push your lip sync over the top, it's capitalism. So I was, I was just here for that. I was like, yes, come on, sell that candy bar that's not even yours to make money off of. You better work.
Yeah, what's that trend on TikTok? Capitalism. Like that was capitalism ate on that one or something like that. What's that sound? I can't remember.
Capitalism. She ate.
Yeah.
Oh, can I tell a quick story actually about
About capitalism? Sure, Jeff Bezos approves. Let's do it.
I had a student who got upset about something. I wasn't there for this, but it's just, to me, it's the funniest thing. She got upset because people were criticizing capitalism's effects on small businesses, and apparently she got up and yelled, "Capitalism is daddy," and then left the room.
Okay.
To me, that is the single best argument that you could ever make, and so, in an academic setting.
Right.
My thesis statement is capitalism is daddy. What does that make
Okay.
socialism? Socialism
Mommy?
is mommy. Mother.
Mommy, sorry. Anyway, shout out to her because she kept me young. She kept me young.
Oh, you girls, you keep me young. Oh no, it was Spice in Sugar's routine when Sugar was doing her routine and Spice was doing the lip syncing along from the side, was definitely giving me Regina George's mom from Mean Girls.
It would have been great if she just was like,
Yeah.
kind of did like the same movement. Yeah, you know what? They continue to do Sugar dirty a little bit because they always show Spice reacting to Sugar and they never show Sugar reacting to Spice, which does not edgic-wise bode well for Sugar, I think.
I think Sugar's going first. I think when they inevitably lip sync against each other, I think Sugar is the one that's going home. Also, because in this episode, there was, and this is probably too much intellectualism for Drag Race, but there was the scene where Spice is like, Sugar, even though I'm the older twin, Sugar's the one who's always helping me through everything. And I was like, okay, so you're going to have to be on your own. Got it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I feel like they're equally good confessional givers. They're both fine.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the episode, like we all knew that they're going to end up lip syncing. I was like, is that going to be in episode 1? But like, I think that given RuPaul's affinity for them, I was like, all right, maybe like lock them in for episode 7. But I think then like Spice might have a little bit of run by herself.
Yeah. Even at least one more episode, even if like if she doesn't make it that much further. Away from the twins, back to the talent show. Lucy DeLuca live singing up next. This was tough because for me, I'm always excited when queens are going to give me something different, something that's going to make me remember them. They're going to stand out.
Well, she did.
She did stand out. Yeah. I think it's got to be nerves, right? I mean, the pitchiness, I think that's probably coming from nerves, and which is really, really tough to do. I'm happy that she was ultimately safe, even though she ended up in the bottom 3. But yeah, it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, all right, +1 for not lip syncing, but -1 for the vocals, -1 for the dancing, -1 for so it came out to a negative overall. But I really like Lucy and I was rooting for her. So it's exactly where it was like, all right, you might get like a warning, but ultimately safe, and I was happy with that.
The tragic part is you can tell she can sing. Like, that's the tragic part. And I agree with you, Liana. I really do think that this is nerves, but it's also moving around and singing. If you are not accustomed to performing choreography, holding a mic and singing, this is not the time to figure that out. It would have been better to be like, I'm going to have a mic on a stand moment and make the vocals the star rather than trying to make the look, the vocals, the energy all match. And that's where I think she also got a lot of criticism from the judges too. Is like, yeah, your movements didn't match your outfit because your outfit gave us like 80s big over the top, but then like your movements were small. And then you were also a little pitchy dog on top of that. And so I just was kind of like, I think that if she, in a situation like this, future queens take note, what your talent is should be the star of it and then build everything else around that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was like Irene who said she's moving as rigid as a dead fish. Oof. And I just think that you know, because it was like points off on almost everything except for, as Scally mentioned, just not lip syncing, then that's, you know, that's really tough to come back from. I think that her joke during the critiques, and I'm not patted and I never will.
Yeah.
That's points. I think that that gave her points. I think that that could be part of the reason why she ended up staying safe.
Yeah, it's that like wit. Like I feel like Miss Cracker like broke it out immediately on her season. That will just like it'll push you along in this competition, whether you want to think so or not.
Yeah, totally. Marsha is the next to perform, and hers was so smart. She has a legit actual talent in ballet, but then also is able to make it entertaining and combine it with something that is temporary with all of the Ross love, the boys to men, because that's something that I think happens with like Thorgy, for example, I think of with the violin talent. Like she had to then do something else to make it a little bit more modern, because we can't just appreciate natural talent. We need like something entertaining. We have attention spans of 10 seconds or less. Please, like, give us something more.
We're the generation that grew up with Vine. And by grew up with, I mean, was well established in our 20s with Vine. Okay.
Yeah. So.
We have 6-second attention span. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that, you know, if you're going to go to the All-Stars 3 of it all, you look at Thorgy, who was able to, you know, like do a cartwheel while holding a violin that I'm sure is like worth more than Thorgy. And then on top of that, like if one's going to break.
Is that an insult to Thorgy? Or a compliment to the violin?
Porque no los dos, you know, but I think that then you like compare that to like Trixie, who was playing an auto harp. Like, who the hell plays an auto harp? But in comparison, who was more entertaining? Sorry about it.
She should have done a cartwheel with the auto harp.
I could. That would have, first of all, to see her try to even do a stunt would be hysterical, let alone with an auto harp, which you cannot just hold with one hand, would be great. No, so I definitely agree. And I think that what makes the Marsha act so smart is that it is drag, right? Like it's taking gender as the main part of the, the expression as the art and the joke and all those different kinds of things, but adding your own personal talents and such to it. I thought it was just super smart.
Yeah, I love Marsha. I thought this felt as fresh as her makeupless face. I was very excited to like see something that was like funny, but also talent, and also like it was not lip syncing, even though like it's dancing, like many of the lip syncers are also doing. Like it held my attention much more. I immediately was like top 3, lock it in. I don't care what anyone else does. So super excited for Marsha. I hope she gets the makeup together, because I feel like we know that she can sew, we know that she can dance, we think she's funny. Like I think that she could do really well if she just puts on a stitch of makeup.
She's the Courtney Act of this season.
Just a little chapstick
and a wispy lash.
Robin Fierce doing her dance lip sync. Beth, what points? Middle of the pack.
She is unfortunately living up to my expectation, which is she's obviously really good at what she does, but there's just something like muted about her. Like that's in comparison to the other queens, like she's not standing out personality wise. And in this sense, it's not that she didn't do a wonderful job. It's not that she didn't look gorgeous. Even like, her entrance look, having all those wonderful, beautiful brown tones. I just was like, it's giving I'm here in the background. It's not like I'm the star of the show. And this is a competition especially, but this is a challenge where you got to make yourself the star of the show. And unfortunately, it's not that she doesn't have talent. She just isn't shoving it down my throat. And I kind of want a little bit more of that from her.
Yeah, I like want to like Robin so much. And I feel like this is good, but it's also, I could see this going to any local bar in Connecticut. I feel like it's like I want it to be more engaging than it is, but it's just not, unfortunately.
I love the idea that the three of us being in the tri-state area, like this is just giving going to a local bar in Connecticut is not a compliment.
This is giving, this is giving 168 York Street. I've seen it.
Man, it's giving Ridgefield. I don't know. It's just
and like it's really good. It just I've seen it before, unfortunately.
I also wonder about the strategy of showing off what could be your lip sync for your life moves in the premiere. Because I always, you kind of want to like save it unless you're Cameron Michaels and you're going to do that splits, thing over and over again and it still works. You kind of want to believe some of those tricks for when you absolutely need them and you're lip syncing for your life. So I'm hoping that this doesn't come back to bite her if she does end up lip syncing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, that we've seen that happen, I would say, with Willow. Willow Von Du. I feel Widow Von Du. I feel like
Oh, yeah.
Like Willow Pill.
no, not that one.
Yeah,
And we're like opening lip sync for what is ultimately not to save your life, and you pull out 17 moves and then end up going home in like 8th place, where we maybe could have done a little bit better if we had saved some.
Sure.
We've already talked about Anetra, but Scally, give us your thoughts.
Oh, I'm all in on lip syncing all of the sudden.
Oh my god, lip syncing. I love that as a talent.
Look how that works. It's fresh, it's original, it's amazing. Like, but the thing with Anetra is like, this is comedy, this is talent, like this is like doing things that no one else is doing, also incorporates like Taekwondo and breaking the wood. Like, I thought this was funny, original, like it's not something that I've seen before, even though it is lip syncing.
I just think, again, if you're gonna lip sync, be the best at it. But then she also does things that like you're not expecting. Like all of a sudden she's pulling out the the Taekwondo, and she's like the best duck walker I've seen like in a long time on the show. Like people, you have to like the precision that she was able to do that with was like, oh, okay, she's done this before. She's not just like attempting it to look gay on a show. You know what I mean? Like I've gotten that feel from other queens in the past that is like, all right, and now's the time where I duck walk. And you're like, you technically did duck walk, and that's great. But like she like pulled it out, and I really like that. Plus that song, you better walk that fucking duck. I was living. And my other favorite like just camera pivot moment is when she's like, wait, do you smell that? And it goes to Sasha Colby, and she's like, with her nose is so funny to me, and I need that as a gif. I just want Sasha Colby going as a gif.
I think Scally, go ahead.
Just where like we've said of other queens, like we've seen this, like Anetra does like, oh, she does a dip, but like, so like we've seen many dips on the show, but like the dip into the immediate roll, into like standing on like her pinky toe all of a sudden, like into a standing position, like it's better than anyone that we've seen before. So
she's such high energy and just captivating, because even if it's a lip, so for me, I don't have the mathematical point system that Scally might. My system is very simple. Do I want to keep watching this? Like, or am I okay with hitting next? And for her, it was immediately captivating the entire time. The energy, the combination, the Taekwondo. I think it was Michelle who said Street Fighter meets ballroom. That I think is totally apt. And she also is so smart with name recognition, showing off the talent with the Taekwondo, having a catchphrase that Ru can easily remember, which is super important for marketing just within the show itself and also broader outside of Drag Race. So just everything felt, whether it was intentional or not, felt like such a smart, calculated move. This is exactly what you should be doing with your first opportunity to show off. And I love the fact that she hit it from the girls too. We knew she's a stunt queen, but she said, yeah, no, I'm not going to tell you my talent. Boom. And then just nails it.
I feel like it would have almost been an even bigger reveal with the other girls if it was like, oh, I'm also lip syncing, and then does this.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm
like,
also lip syncing.
Oh, okay, my expectations are here. Oh, and that's what happened.
I mean, she was just so incredible. And I think the other thing that I knew the moment that she won, after not just seeing the visual proof in front of me of what she was able to do, they stuck on her post performance for like an extra minute. Like it was like all the reactions of everybody else. And like, meanwhile, like Malaysia finishes and they're like, all right, and up next is so-and-so. Like they immediately go into the next act. I was like, when someone has won, if you get a confessional right afterwards, like somebody, and they have multiple people talking about them, and B, you see the judges, the girls, and the talent themselves, like post performance.
I also knew she won because I saw her talent show.
Right. The visual proof.
I didn't even need the editing cues because sometimes you do. All right. Like sometimes you're like, yes, please tell me what I'm supposed to think. I'm too stupid to interpret talent myself. This, I got just me being an idiot. I was able to understand why she deserved to win. All right, Sugar does her own song as well. This is where we get Spice with her own little lip sync moment. I think I liked Spice more than I liked Sugar's, but to me they were both, very similar. We also saw similar runways from them. I'm curious to see if this continues or if we start to see a little bit more divergence in their performances.
I think that for Sugar, my biggest issue with hers was that I couldn't understand the words as well as I could with Spice. And I think that really took away from some of the jokes and the comedy of her acting things out. And then whereas Spice started off with the, I'm bored, she has to do the entire song to get to the, I'm so annoying. And I was like, okay, you have to start with that because that's what got Rue laughing and then wanting to be engaged with your performance. So I just think that like even just timing wise of like where to put in like the I'm the done like doll ditzy kind of character, the timing helped Spice a lot more than it did Sugar.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Sugar that like she's always going to be compared to Spice directly and everything because like I think that this lip sync was better than plenty of any other lip syncs, but if you offer me this or you offer me this with flavor, I'm going to take the flavor. So I just think that that's always going to be the problem for Sugar is that like there's an exact copy of her that's doing it just like a little more interesting.
I think also the little bit of the, I don't know what I want to call it, but alternative twist on sort of the same thing is always going to be a little bit more interesting unless the like princess version is super nailed. Then otherwise, you kind of like, as Scally said, the Spice version better.
Well, also think about the fact that Spice's song literally was the boys want to know where my ding-a-ling go. That is hysterical. Sugar was like, where are my sugar babies at? I was like, okay, like just inherently Spice had a way better song.
Yeah, everyone cares way more about penises. So that's yeah, everyone.
Where do it go? No.
Yeah. Princess Poppy was the next one to perform, and I'm with you, Beth. I just thought this was so weird, but I wanted to know what the puppet was going to say next. Maybe it's the Sacco Bo Burnham of it all that just made me feel engaged with this. But it was just bizarre and weird. And I don't think enough to put her in the top, but I would have put her maybe at the, the next rung in ranking the girls.
Yeah. The thing is that like I think this was different from what everyone else was doing. I think it was funny. I wanted ultimately like just a little bit more. But like fine.
Yeah.
I think her biggest problem here is that the puppet upstages her as like the talent. So we want to know what the puppet is going to say. We don't care about what she's doing and saying. She's not really doing anything inherently funny with her face. And I think my biggest issue so far with Poppy is like I see the vision. She just is not like pushing it far enough. Like with this entrance look, she's supposed to be, what is it called?
A palette.
Palette. Thank you. I was like a pastel. That's not it. No, she's the palette. And instead of like making it a little bit, maybe the colors are smeared all the way together, like on her like chest and bodice area, right? Like that would have been inherently more interesting than a clean palette. Just little things like that could like elevate it a little bit more, make it a little bit more drag, bring us into, and then maybe it goes into your face as well. I don't know. I just think that those little things are going to be what potentially holds her back in the competition.
Selena Estites is the next to perform. She's someone also who I'm kind of obsessed with her energy. And with the Will Smith reference here, Scally, that, look, it was the one joke, but it got me.
Yeah, Selena can do no wrong. Like, I am very happy with Selena. I feel like big personality. The talent itself, was it like blowing me away? Not necessarily, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think that in terms of the songs, she had the song that I would listen to, like actually like riding the subway places. And if I were standing, I may actually smack my own ass at that one point. No cues for anybody else around me. And I would still not be the weirdest person on the subway. So.
Yeah. You're fine. Again, I don't think like top material, but I think just a fun, entertaining character, and I'm really excited to see her in future weeks. Like this wasn't necessarily, I think, like, oh my gosh, yes, I love this. It was more like, oh, I love her, and I'm excited to see more of her.
Yeah.
Was my takeaway.
My favorite moment of hers, though, is her in the confessional yelling, "The twins are too much!" And I was like, this is so ironic.
How did you guys feel about the reception to the twins in general?
I was living for it.
Yeah, I like shade, and I'm just like happy that it's like back on the show in a way. And I feel like maybe we lost a little bit of it actually with this elimination, but I wanted villains for a long time, and I don't know that we're ever gonna get like full-blown villains again, but I'm excited for people not to be hesitant to like throw a little bit of shade, make some comments, like entertain me. That's what I want from here.
Yeah, and I love that we within one episode we see Mistress immediately go from I don't respect these queens because they didn't even know about wig glue to okay, I kind of fucking love what they're doing. Like I love that transformation. I just wish it took maybe 5 more episodes to get to that point.
I want more drama, please.
Yeah.
I realized we actually skipped Irene, so we will go back to her. But anyway, continue, Skelly.
Oops. I think that like it's the natural reaction to hearing that like, oh, we've done 1 or 2 performances and they went awful. Like that immediately is going to make me think like that's where I was. Like, okay, we might get lip sync like episode 1, but then as we see their talent show and as like we get their confessionals, I'm like, oh yeah, actually a lot of the things that they do on Drag Race like doesn't not translate to a bedroom queen. Like there are acting and like whatever else, like they make outfits, I think. So like I think that there is actually a talent base here. I have no issue with the bedroom queen. Like if that's what you are, like that's a talent and that's like cool. I just didn't think that it would translate as well as it appears to be.
Here's the thing. Inherently, Drag Race is much more than just designing, and there's like the performative aspects and all these other kinds of things. Whereas if you compare it to a show like Dragula, which is so much about what you were able to create in that moment and then perform the hell out of it, the reason why queens like Formaldehyde, who are on season 4 or 3 of Dragula, don't do well because they're TikTok, Twitch, whatever stars, is because they don't have that performance experience of like, I made this and now I have to go feed off of an energy of like an audience, right? Versus Drag Race, you can kind of get away with it because it's just about making dumb videos, which is literally what the twins do, right? So I just kind of think that this is the great kind of show for them. And then I saw somebody do a tweet that was like, I want the twins to do Dragula, not because they would be good at it, just because we want to see that. Oh no. And I was like, I want them to be the Boulets. Like, I think that would be so stupid. Like the dumb Brat Stall version of the Boulet brothers.
That's the twist.
Hysterical.
Oh my God.
What do you think, Swan? He's so stupid.
Let's go back to a queen whose performance I forgot about, but whose presence on the show I definitely didn't, and I think is going to be sorely missed, as we see Irene get eliminated here. She came in first queen to enter the workroom in group 1, made hell of a statement, stood out, talked about exactly what Beth was discussing, bringing the shade back to Drag Race and having some drama, and then was promptly eliminated because she made a glass of ice water, Scally.
Yeah, I want to like challenge Irene, like let's put the full routine up on YouTube. Like let's see if it is actually funny, because I feel like maybe it is, but obviously it did not translate here. I feel bad. I really enjoyed Irene. I feel like I was actually getting like narrator of the season vibes from her. So I was floored when she went home. Not because I thought her talent was, above par, but because I felt like we were having a confessionalist thrust upon us and all of a sudden taken away. So the talent itself left quite a bit to be desired, but Irene herself, I liked quite a bit.
What I respect the most about Irene is like you can tell is an incredible drag supporter of her sisters, and from that old school of I'm going to give you shade and that's actually a compliment. If I'm not shading you in the dressing room, that's the issue, right? And I love that she brought that to the whole thing with the twins of like, you thought we hated each other? No, this is love. Like, you know, we respect and love each other. This is what it is. But when you go and watch the talent show, and if you ever watch it again, look at Irene in the background or whatever they do. Like, she is reacting to everybody and giving them their roses. And I love that. I love a queen who is not afraid to have a sharp tongue, but also is there to cheer and support on her sisters. I really want to see her back. Bring her back for season 16. I think that this was just a lack of judgment. And I could see the vision for this. I can tell that she could do something with this and have it go somewhere. She just didn't execute that. I'm not sure if the full routine will do it on YouTube. I think it's a half-baked idea at this point, and maybe smoke a little more to become fully baked on it. But I really think that for me, she's probably the strongest queen to ever go home first. Like, I really was thinking about that. I don't think I've seen another queen who's that strong who I think goes home first.
I do wonder if, so I think if I were on something, I think I would have liked this more. That was thought number one. But I also got a ton of entertainment.
I could tell you no.
Yeah, well, Beth did. The thing is that I got a lot of entertainment out of this, not in the way that she intended, though, because Rue's scowl, like anger look, was so funny. Ariana's like half little polite golf clap when she thought it was over, but it wasn't over. The claps afterwards, like everything about this was hilarious to me. Again, not in the intended way, but I was entertained by this.
Somebody did upload. This is so shady. Somebody uploaded on YouTube the version of Irene doing it without any music on in the background, and it is deafeningly horrible. So yes, please go watch that. Sorry, Irene.
I want to talk about the lips. Well, I guess we haven't talked about Amethyst yet. Let's talk about Amethyst, then let's talk about the lip sync, because those are the two queens that ultimately end up in the bottom. And I think there's a lot to discuss here that ties into their performances. So Amethyst sort of has a similar vibe in terms of like, I'm going for this comedy thing with the "Where's My Baby?" but it's an actual like baby doll on a Bjorn thing on her back. And the big critique here, Scally, was that you revealed the joke too early.
I mean, at least like Irene had no laughs. At least Amethyst, her laughs just came too early.
Yeah.
It's better than none. So I think that for Amethyst, like I struggle to see like where this could get much, much better. I know that they say like, oh, this is not a bad idea, but I don't think that I'm ever like putting this in the top. I don't think I ever see like Amethyst in the top necessarily in the talent show. I'm not like, I don't feel like I would have been missing much had Amethyst been first out. I don't know. It was just like, okay, that was cute. And that was it.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I'm happy to say that the nervous energy that we saw in like the preview, I didn't see as much here. And I had said in our like recap beforehand, I was like, I don't know. Like, she says she's funny. And I can see that. I think that she's just one of those queens that Drag Race is going to make her even better. Like, I really see her being kind of an improving queen throughout this process versus some queens who like, I don't think Sasha Colby is going to improve by doing Drag Race. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if Irene would have improved by doing Drag Race. These are queens who came to say, this is what I do, and I'm going to show you how good I am. And I feel like Amethyst is really going to learn from this, and it's going to be really great. And also, I just want to give it a quick shout out. There's a streamer who I've worked with who's a drag queen who actually designed and made her outfit for the talent, or not for the talent show, for the runway, Mia Easylay. So if you want a really cool drag queen to check out, but also plays a lot of Pokemon, shout out to Mia. And I really like Amethyst's style. I really like just the little bits of personality I'm seeing. And I could see her, if she doesn't go farther into this competition, I could really see her come back for an all-star season in a couple years and like kill it. She could be one of those queens that like you're like not expecting to really eat it, and I really think she could.
I liked her concept. I liked the suggestion of making it like a benzoed Real Housewife character. I thought that could elevate it. And I think also rule of threes, right? You need to have 3 different ways that you're searching for your baby. Okay. So 1, maybe you're going through the couch cushions, you can't find it, or you find like a stuffed cat and you're like, oh, my baby, wait, what? And then you like toss it over your shoulder. So then you have that reveal at the end as you slowly sort of build up. You can still do the lip sync, and I think it works. I agree with Scally. I don't think it pushes you into the top, but I think it pushes you into safe and out of the bottom. Okay. Lip sync. Irene didn't know the words, right?
No.
That's what I think it was.
Okay, because there's Jujubee, for example, is good at the watermelon kind of open mouth thing. And I thought that's what Irene was doing at first. And then as I paid more and more attention, I was like, oh, you just don't know the words. And this is really embarrassing.
And Amethyst going into this was like, I had it memorized the first day it came out. And I was like, so Amethyst is going to win. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. That's the thing is, when I first started watching this, honestly, just because of how much Irene had been featured, I almost clocked out a little bit, like 2 hours in with no breaks of commercials, where I was like, oh, obviously Irene is staying. Like, I think that, and like, she's doing like, serviceable, like it seems fine. And I just felt like Amethyst like kind of had early boot energy, so I wasn't like super shocked. And then I was like, all right, sorry, Amethyst. And they said she was staying. And I was like, oh, I need to rewatch this. Which is at the point where I realized, like, oh, I don't think Irene knew the words. And I think that they were very nice in not making that blatantly obvious in the edit.
I will say, I think the editors did a lot of good to Irene for this whole episode. They showcased her a lot in the confessionals and showed her a lot in the background and reacting to queens and such. And so I thought it was a little rich when she got onto social media and was like, it's amazing when they change your music halfway through, like what that does to your edit. I was like, girl, you got a good ass edit for being a first boo. I would thank people for the opportunity and be in the good graces of Drag Race, because I could definitely see you come back, but not with that attitude.
I mean, she won the first mini challenge.
Yeah, like you literally are leaving with $2,500. Like at the end of the day, there's probably been queens who go in 5 weeks who don't win anything and just spend all this money.
Just think that we are likely to soon be in a world where a first boot could end up on an all-star season, and I think that Irene probably should have kept that in mind. But I don't know. I really think that like there was so much more to see here with Irene, and I'm like already sad where I'm like, okay, let's go follow her on Instagram so I can see the looks that get dropped every week. And I just think that like there was a lot more talent there that we are not going to get to see currently.
I also want to make the argument that Amethyst's outfit fits Ariana Grande's aesthetic, and it just helps you to get into the mindset of the song. So even when Irene's on, and not that her outfit wasn't, I thought her outfit was mid. It was like really great, and in the sense that like I got a good sense of who she was, but it did not lend itself to 7 rings versus like, oh, you mean 2 high slicked ponytails, pigtails coming out, and a strappy kind of look. Like she just looked like, the Fortnite Ariana Grande character. And I was like, okay, well, Amethyst fits the vibe of the song. So all you have to do is just vaguely mouth the words and you're going to win, unless Irene pulls out something really special. So I will play a little bit of devil's advocate to say, Irene, yes, girl, you should have known the words, but you had to have done something extra to compensate for the fact that you just don't look like Ariana in comparison.
It's hard when like how much of it is the challenge, how much of it is the runway, how much of it is the lip sync that like ultimately determines sending you home. And I think that where like Irene was like a complete 0 kind of in the challenge in the judges' eyes, like I think you kind of need to kill it in that lip sync, where like let's say Lala Ree in the design challenge is a complete 0 maybe, and then goes ahead and like absolutely demolishes that lip sync and stays.
Yeah. She didn't have to care if the bags fell off her though.
Yeah. Again, RuPaul's glare during Irene's performance. Just that's what I like go back to. Just like so bad. Okay. Well, we have 3 more queens to talk about in terms of their performances, and we can do a few thoughts on looks in general, other thoughts. We already talked about Aura, so unless you guys have anything else to say, the Blackpink number that was stompy, Beth fell in the shower, all that jazz. Beth, we'll go to you about Sasha Colby. how did you feel about her first performance on Drag Race?
So I thought it was like the most artistic expression of a lip sync. So like that was enthralling, but I also just kind of like, I won't lie, I was like, okay, after seeing Anitra and, you know, a few and the Marsha who are doing things a little differently, I would have liked Sasha to do something different. But I also will say, to kind of Scally's point earlier, or maybe it was yours, I can't remember, the idea of not showing all your cards in the first episode is probably smart. And if we know anything about her, she's a strategic mother. So she's going to keep those cards close to her chest. So I think she did a great job, but it just wasn't going to be winning, you know, with this group. I mean, I found it powerful in a few moments. You know, I was like, ooh, yeah, but I would have thrown bills, but I wasn't like blown away.
Yeah. I don't know. Part of me is just like, mother was mothering, and like I was enjoying it. And like it's the lip sync that made me feel the most for sure. So in that regards, like it was always going to be like high safe for me. But yeah, not a win.
I like that she chose a Cranberry song. I was like, oh my god, the Cranberry. So my like old ass was excited about that. Otherwise, yeah, I totally co-sign what you guys are saying.
I asked my friend, I was like, what did you think about Sasha Colby's? And he was like, ugh, could we stop with zombie? That was his response. And I was like, you get out of here. What's wrong with you?
I think just because it's Drag Race, that's not a song that I would expect to hear on Drag Race.
Also, like, shout out to Drag Race for actually, you know, allowing, you know, actual songs to be on there now.
Yeah, we can talk about that with the move to MTV and maybe what that actually means, because we didn't have a lot of insight on the premiere.
Sure.
Jax is the last queen with her jump rope with her hair, which was, I think, the moment that like really solidified it. She unclips those and then does a gajillion backflips, just top material.
And lands on her titties ever so gently.
Yeah, can't beat it.
It's again like it's a lip sync, but like the talent is the hair jump roping, it's the flipping, it's the like the other things that she is doing along with lip syncing.
Exactly.
So it was so fun to watch.
Exactly.
Well, now I know why she said that she's the jumping bean. Because I was like,
God. Okay, that was the other thing with her when she walked in. So I knew she was 5'3". We had talked about the fact that she was 5'3". There was something about seeing her walk into the workroom. I was like, oh my god, she's so short. And in my head, I know she's 5'3". So that's what I was thinking. I wish like the ratio of the door to her height, it just
I heard somebody say I didn't get her entrance look. I was like, she's a cheerleader. Like she's telling you who she is. Like, what do you mean you didn't
bring it on joke too? Like, come on, Clovers, right? So, yeah.
I have to say, I think she's just so cute. Like, I just in drag, I just smile when she's on my screen, and that's the feeling I want to have. Like, I can't wait to see what she does. Just loved her routine.
Yeah.
I actually, at the end of that, I was like, I think it was better than Anitra's. And I even put it on social media. Then I watched Anitra's again. I was like, oh no, I think this was better.
Yeah, that's a lie. We have determined that was a lie. All right, let's discuss some lurks. We're not going to go through each individual one. There's just too much to talk about. Let's talk about some highlights. And I'm going to go ahead and kick things off. I'll try to grab the looks as we go through them. The first, Sasha Colby. Her story of just being like, yeah, I wore this once when I won Miss Continental
10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
And it still fits, girl. Also the brief was who is she, which took me a while to figure out. At first I thought they were supposed to be impressions of other people. And then I realized it's like, oh, it's just sort of like a signature drag look, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be like, if you were to look at this outfit, I could figure out who you are as your drag aesthetic. And so that's what I went into. So like Sasha has to win the runway because it's like, who am I? Miss Continental 2012. Thank you very much. Like, okay, got it. But I mean, on top of the fact that this is just like an absolutely stunning, timeless drag look.
Yeah. I love this. Any other looks, either from the entrance looks or the runway, that you guys want to hit on?
I'm sorry, we have to talk about the twins runways.
Oh yeah,
I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed because remember I was saying I kind of want to see if they're going to do a theme together on the runways. And we definitely see that this week where they're taking Disney princess dolls, but making them like, you know, like bratified or whatever. And also Michelle Visage doing that, like, hello, I'm from Long Island's version of Belle or whatever. That was killing me too. But I mean, Sugar as Belle looks incredible. This is an incredible.
Wait, which one was which?
Sugar was Belle and Spice was
and
Ariel.
Spice was Ariel. Yes. Okay.
Which, had I not seen Belle, I don't know that I immediately would have said Ariel, but I also think that's a good thing. Because
I think it's a good thing, yeah.
If you are telling me like my signature drag is cosplaying as a Disney princess, I'm like, this is done phenomenally, but again, it also doesn't tell me the most about like who you are as a queen.
Yeah. I think that that's the important thing, right? Is that they have to be able to stand alone on their own. And they also have to be able to be instantly recognizable for what they're trying to go for. So if it's who is she is the thing. Like, I think Sugar nails this better than Spice, because Sugar, you can look at it and go, oh, she's her own version of a doll, like Disney princess doll. She's Belle. Got it. But like you're saying, Scally, Spice comes out and I'm like, okay, now I know that this is supposed to be Ariel and therefore it's great. But if I didn't have Belle there, I would be like, oh, she's, you know, a slutty princess. Okay.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have gotten the doll portion.
Only because we know of them from TikTok. Like, this is really, really good, but I wouldn't say like this is the typical Spice aesthetic in like every look. So it doesn't actually tell me who Spice is.
Yeah, so. This is what I'm curious to see where they go, if they continue to do things that are like duo-based looks, if they got the brief and then did something that is complementary to one another, because ultimately when one of them goes home, probably Sugar, then will the other look be able to stand out on its own? Because if this had happened later in the season, then I think like Spice would suffer from exactly what you guys are discussing, which is does this stand alone just by itself?
And she's the one that we're assuming is going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, again, this is all complete conjecture. I have absolutely no idea.
We could be very wrong.
I can't wait for both Sugar and Spice to be in the final. And this, right? None of this happens. I'm eating lipstick.
And
it's
they
a whole
never
thing.
lip synced against each other.
Well, I'm going to put this out there. If they lip sync against each other in a finale, it counts. I still don't have to eat the lipstick.
Yeah, there you go. It could be a double Shantae for all we know. Rue loves them, so yeah. I don't know. I think for me, though, the other look that stood out really was Mistress. I thought that, like, it's talked about a lot, how difficult it can be for queens of a certain size to find looks. And I feel like if Mistress is breaking this out on day one, I am extremely, extremely excited for what Mistress is bringing to this competition. And I think that is also exemplified in her entrance look and basically anything that we've seen her in.
Her runway look, I mean this, okay, so I am a person with a gut. I am a person with a lot of flab on the legs, whole 9 yards, right? This was so empowering and sexy, and like seeing, I want to make sure that this is coming across the way that I want it to be. Absolutely zero body shaming coming from me right now, and body embracing. The fact that you can see quite a bit of like the gut coming over, it's still so sexy. Like, that is so hard to do with our societal standards, to be like making, you know, fat and rolls and all those different kinds of things sexy. Oh my God. I was obsessed with this. She came out and I was like, there is nothing wrong with this. You have just, this was just incredible. I thought that this was so hot. This was so hot.
And she just had it in her closet, right?
Yeah. She's from Texas.
I didn't have this made for the show. I had this in my closet. The flex on that.
I love.
Yes, so good. I would say just a few other ones I'm not going to pull. I really like Selena's titties. I thought that one was really cute. Poppy is just adorable to me, but her confessional about like it's a play on rainbows, it's bows. For some reason made me laugh because it was just good. And Lux, of course, is the other one I think that stood out to me because she loves a good statement hat. As we know, as I'm obsessed with her confessional look, she is definitely one of my favorites so far this season.
Lux's outfit was like a combination, if I were to compare from queens in the past, of Aquaria with a similar look that Aquaria had with Simone. Like, to me, I was like, this is where those two meet. And I was really excited by that. I can't wait to see what Lux brings to the runway.
That's what it was. I was like, I love this, and I've loved it the other times I've seen it. So I really, really do like this. It just does feel a little bit similar, which I think is probably like unfair because many of these other looks feel similar to something else in the past. But because this is so distinct, it does give vibes of things in the past.
Fair. Okay, anything else that you guys want to discuss from this episode? I have a few other things I want to hit that don't really deserve discussion, but they were thoughts that I had. Sasha Colby with the professionalism of let the kids play and clean up after them because I've had a lot of children. I love to see that on the show when a true professional steps in and is just like, let the children do what they want to do, and then a mother will come in and take care of it later. That was fantastic. RuPaul's sunglasses. During the outdoor photo shoot, I was watching with a friend of mine and who commented exactly what I was thinking, that Ru had just gotten her eyes dilated because she was at the eye doctor. That's what the sunglasses were giving me. I'm here for that.
See, I thought they were transition lenses at first, and I was very confused. And I was like, oh no, they're different.
Yeah, they're huge.
I love the idea that RuPaul would have transition.
I was like, wait a minute, and then no, okay.
Oh my God!
We paused for a minute.
That's the stupidest thing ever.
I could imagine her
really
coming back indoors. They're still transitioning back, like still dark. Like, give me a minute.
My dad has transitioned. I don't know why that's really getting me. Oh God.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any other outstanding thoughts, bike ride person versus porch person, that was another thing that made me laugh. Okay. Well, that does it for us. Scally, is there anything else you want to say about this episode, your thoughts in general?
About this episode? No, I just like, it made me super excited for the season moving forward, which is apparently only going to be an hour moving forward. I think is interesting. That's the only other thing that I had really. Interesting to bring it down to an hour. I'm not like totally mad because I feel like especially like halfway through the season, it starts to feel a little bloated and maybe we could have cut it down to an hour. I'll miss the 90 minutes for the first few episodes, but to use it as a lead-in to the Real Friends of WeHo, I think is an interesting call to blatantly say we are using the queer audience of Drag Race to try to popularize another show, especially when I don't think that there is a fan base that would be more opposed to watching a Todrick show than the Drag Race audience. So,
except for maybe the Big Brother community.
Yeah. Interesting call. But I am nonetheless very excited to watch the rest of this season of Drag Race.
Oh my gosh, I'm happy that you brought that up. I totally forgot I wanted to discuss that. I'm also not mad at the 1 hour, as Beth mentioned. Well, what if they do the like non-commercial thing that they did in the premiere? Then I'm definitely okay with that. Maybe one commercial would be good, just so I can go to the bathroom. But if it's only an hour, I think I can power through. But yes, the lead in to the Real Friends of WeHo, I believe, is what the show is called. Brad Goreski, I think, deserves better than having to pretend to be friends with Todrick for a season. I have never seen a fandom turn so hard on a show, like, ever. And there are so many comments. I sent Mike Bloom and I were talking about this. I sent a screenshot of him of just some of the Reddit comments. It was so funny. It was like the Real Friends of WeHo is making me homophobic. Just like a lot of other really great random thoughts. No one's gonna watch this show, right? Like who's watching this?
Yeah.
The people who are watching this are gay cis men who hate the word cis and hate the word queer and just want to be called gay men. Like that's who this show is for. It's for cis gay men who hate women and trans people. Like that's who this show is for. I'm sorry. Like I've seen only people who are like gym gays say, yes, can't wait to see this. And I was like, that's because you're a WeHo. Like you're literally seeing yourself up on the screen. Like that's who it is. Like, I don't know.
Representation matters, Beth. Shut up.
Oh man.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like there's already so many things coming out about this show that are like people complaining that they're not really friends, people complaining about someone who was allegedly kicked from the cast early. Yeah, I don't love it. I'm not excited. But you know, I'll watch Untucked on recording.
Yeah, I'm
Same
gonna watch
at
Untucked
2X.
the next day. I'm not like turning back on my TV after I
Yeah.
turn it off for the night on a Friday.
Right.
I have a board game to
No.
play before I go to bed.
Okay, we're just gonna move on from that. So yeah, that's the other thing that the Untucked is gonna be airing after, kind of like a real
Mhm.
Love Boat type situation where we're putting it like the real Love Friends of WeHo is going in between, and then we're gonna put the Untucked at the end. Just skip it, watch the next day. Just on 2X because so far it's been boring. Which, yeah, we didn't even talk about the Untucked hour of Untucked from this episode, but I don't think it's necessarily worth mentioning.
Kind of did. We're like, oh, it's still happening. Okay, what's going on?
Okay.
The only thing I did want to point out was like, all of a sudden, halfway through, Ariana Grande is just holding one of Selena's fingers in her hand. Like she's like, lean back, go back and clock it. It's so weird to me. I was not paying attention to what she was saying. I was just like, why is she holding one finger of Selena's for like 10 minutes? It was so weird to me. So, that's the most interesting thing that happened in Untucked.
Okay, good. Well, you heard it here first. Finger holding Ariana Grande. Good. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Deep breath. We did it. We're prepared for next week. Again, next week is going to be, I don't know if next week, because the real Friends of WeHo airs on the 20th. I'm not sure what the next week's episode, if that's already going to be an hour, like we're starting to cut down, or what is going to happen, because we have one more week in between before it airs. Oh, good. Ridiculousness is airing all day. Okay. Yeah. Well, and then Catfish Marathon. Okay. Yeah. It's still only going to be an hour. So it's going to be the All Queens Go to Heaven, which is next week's episode, where the queens are going to have to do a Heaven infomercial, I guess. I didn't quite understand it. And then we're getting a half hour of Untucked directly after, and then the WeHo show starts the next week.
So are we calling out the red herring right now, which is that it is supposed to look like Sasha Colby's struggles, and like
well, she might struggle, but she's not going home. So
yeah, no shot.
I think the red herring here is like Sasha like ends up winning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's one of those things. Like, I don't know.
It's possible. If she struggles, good luck to the queen that ends up in the bottom two with her.
Seriously.
Like, bye. It was nice knowing you.
Even then.
Imagine the absolute fucking like people would lose their shit if somebody sent Sasha Colby home on the second episode.
Yeah, worse than the announcement of the real Friends of WeHo.
You want to see a fandom turn against a franchise?
I know. It's like, oh, MTV has the money for some like legit songs. Oh, that's why. But I love how blatant they were about like, yeah, we're making it so that you guys will watch the show instead of just being like, yeah, we're putting it on after. It was like, no, why do we have to explicitly say it's because you are the audience that needs to watch the show?
They said the quiet part out loud.
Exactly.
Not a great idea.
Yes, thank you. They totally did. No, not that's the inside thought. Okay, capitalism is daddy. That's the inside thought. Okay. All right, Scally, where can people find you on your fantastic social media presence? And what else do you have going on?
People can find anything that I'm doing over on Twitter at Brian_Scally, where I'll occasionally tweet out that myself and Matt Ligori are covering the challenge over on the Dom and Colin podcast regularly. Definitely been a fun season over there. And then I believe I am subbing in for Sasha on Mess Magnets coming up. Not this week, but next week, I believe. So once I get my scheduling right, we'll confirm that, and should have a lot of fun over there.
All right, Beth. What about you?
You can find me at AugustaWind11 on all my social media. And that's, I pretty much just got this pod going on right now, which I'm excited about.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter at Liana, RHAP. Also, same with Beth. Drag Race is my baby right now. Looking forward to Traders US. Watch the UK season. Highly recommend if you love mess. And I think that does it for us. So if you want to leave your star ratings and reviews, you can do that for us on iTunes, robhasawebsite.com/drag race. Thank you, Scott St. Pierre, for all your help behind the scenes. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.